How did the camera work? Born in a small village in 1826, Joseph Nicephore Niepce was a French inventor who loved to draw. As an adult, he created a device that could capture images and hold them so they wouldn't fade away like his drawings. His invention consisted of two main parts, a box and a plate. The box was painted black on the inside to prevent any light from escaping. In the center of one side, he made a small hole. This would allow light to pass through and hit the other side of the box. The other side was covered with a thin metal plate. This plate would act as the sensor and record the image. But how did it do this? Well, that's where the magic happened. Nicephore had discovered a way to coat the plate with chemicals that would react to light. When the plate was exposed to light, the chemicals would change, leaving behind an image. However, there was a problem. The plate needed to be exposed to light for a very long time, up to 8 hours. And if the chemicals reacted too much, the image would be ruined. So in order to get the perfect picture, he needed a way to control the amount of light hitting the plate. To do this, he put a sheet of paper in front of the plate, which would block some of the light. By moving the paper around, he could create different effects. By moving the paper quickly, the image would be blurred. By moving it slowly, the image would be sharp. He even experimented with using a needle to punch holes in the paper, which allowed more light to pass through and create a more detailed image. But despite all these advancements, the camera was still not ready for prime time. The images were too blurry and grainy to be of any real use. However, Nicephore didn't give up. He continued to experiment with different types of plates and chemicals until he finally came up with a process that worked. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for him to take the world's first photograph. On August 4, 1839, he set up his camera in a field near his home and took a picture of a view from his window. The exposure time was about 2 hours. The resulting image was a blurry, grainy mess. But if you look closely, you can see the faint outline of a house and some trees. It wasn't much, but it was the world's first photograph. The image was so groundbreaking that when Nicephore showed it to the world, people thought it was a fake. They couldn't believe that someone had actually taken a picture of nothing. But Nicephore had done it, and that's how the camera was born. In today's world, we take pictures every day. We use cameras on our phones, laptops, and even glasses. But have you ever stopped to think about how the camera works? Well, let me show you. Welcome to my channel. Before we had digital cameras, there were film cameras. Film cameras use film to capture images. The film is a long strip of plastic coated with chemicals. When the camera takes a picture, a small amount of light is let in and hits the film. This creates a tiny latent image on the film. The image is invisible, but it's there. After the exposure is finished, the film is developed. The latent image becomes visible, and the film is said to be exposed. Film cameras have been around since the early 1900s. They were the main way to capture images for over 100 years. But in recent years, they've been replaced by digital cameras. Digital cameras don't use film. Instead, they have a digital sensor that captures images. The images are stored on a memory card. Digital cameras are more convenient than film cameras. You can take as many pictures as you want without worrying about wasting film. And you can look at your pictures right away. But what happens when you take a picture? What happens to the image once it's captured? Well, let me show you. When you press the shutter button on a camera, a small amount of light is let in and hits the sensor. The sensor is made up of millions of tiny squares called pixels. Each pixel is a photodiode that converts light into an electrical signal. The electrical signals are sent to an image processor. The image processor converts the signals into a digital image. The image is then stored on a memory card. But what happens when you take a picture of something that's moving? The object moves from one frame to the next. This creates the illusion of movement. This is called the frame rate. The faster the frame rate, the smoother the motion. But why does the image look like this when you zoom in? Well, that's because the pixels aren't perfectly square. They're actually shaped like a trapezoid. This means that some pixels are closer together than others. When you zoom in, you can see the pixels more clearly. This is called the pixel density. The higher the pixel density, the more detail the image has. But why does the image look so sharp sometimes? Well, That's because of a phenomenon called diffraction. Diffraction causes light waves to bend around objects. This makes the image look sharper than it really is. Diffraction also causes colors to be separated. This is called dispersion. This is why a rainbow is formed. The light from the sun is dispersed by water droplets in the atmosphere. But why does the image look so colorful sometimes? Well, that's because of a phenomenon called interference. Interference causes light waves to combine together. This creates areas of high intensity and low intensity. The areas of high intensity appear bright, and the areas of low intensity appear dark. Interference also causes colors to be combined. This is called desaturation. This is why a rainbow looks so vibrant. The colors are desaturated by water droplets in the atmosphere. But why does the image look so faded sometimes? Well, that's because of a phenomenon called absorption. Absorption causes light waves to be absorbed by objects. This reduces the intensity of light. Absorption also causes colors to be removed. This is called bleaching. This is why a rainbow looks so pale during the day. The colors are bleached by the intense sunlight. If you like this video, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.